Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about inspirations. Starting with none other than the brilliant storyteller Stephen King. I'm doing a film and photography course. Stephen King, he doesn't write, what is he going to do with film? Some of his books have been made into films. Not all of them good, but hey, I'm not talking about his skills with a camera here. I'm talking about the way he tells his stories. And the way he tells his stories really sets off that tense feeling that you get when you're reading his books, and that can say the same about how when you watch a film and you get that tense feeling. Honestly, sometimes in a film or a TV show, if I know something's gonna happen, here's a little spoiler about Game of Thrones, so if you've not watched Game of Thrones, don't watch this bit. But, end of season 1 of Game of Thrones, okay? Ned Stark, one of the main characters, set up to be one of the main characters in the show, dies unexpectedly. Okay, first time that happened, whoa, it shocked me, but now that I know it's gonna happen, and if I rewatch that scene, I guess it's even more tense as it goes. And the way Stephen King writes, I'm gonna use the example of his book It. This is why the book of It is better than the film. Because Stephen King, when he writes, he lets us in on what's gonna happen before it happens. Some people may think, but isn't that spoiling it? No, it's very clever. It sets up that tension because you know something's gonna happen, but you don't know when, how, or why. That is where you carry on reading. That makes you want to carry on reading. In the very beginning of the book, there's a character who, after getting a phone call saying that the monster is back, because he experienced that monster as a kid and he knows firsthand how monstrous that creature is, can't take it anymore as an adult, and so he goes into the bath and kills himself. The chapter is written from his wife's perspective, so his wife knows that he's in the bath, which apparently is unusual for him because usually he's not a bath guy, he's a shower guy. So she knows something's wrong there. And I think the bathroom door is locked, and she realizes that that's odd as well because he never locks the bathroom door and he's locked it this time. So something's wrong. Stephen King, the author, while writing, has told us, the audience, what she will find in that bathroom. She herself doesn't know, but he's told us that she is gonna find her dead husband because he's committed suicide. So it's kind of spoiled for us, but not really, because now we want to know how he's killed himself, and we want to know how she'll react to finding that. And so it sets up that tension. He also lets us know when other characters are going to die before they actually die, and it just sets up that tension, and that can be used in film. That's inspired me to use that kind of a method in my filmmaking. Basically to say she goes into the bathroom and she finds that he's actually slit his wrists and he's in the bath. And after breaking the door down, she's found that, and he's written with his blood on the wall, It. You know, very freaky, very scary chapter. Even though we knew he was going to die, we didn't know that he was going to be in that kind of a state. And we wanted to know, as an audience, what kind of a state he was going to be in and how she would find him. Which is what makes the audience pay attention and really want to carry on reading and finding out. What if we've said in a film or a TV show that a certain character has died? A lot of people will think, well, that's just spoiling it. But carrying on through the story, you'll want to know exactly what kind of a state that person is going to be in. and how he's killed himself, or how he's just died. Maybe he doesn't have to have killed himself, but you know, that kind of a thing. You know, so that's definitely an inspiration for me. Stephen King, the way he writes, that kind of a thing that he does. Also with the chronological order that he writes in. Again, with it, he'll go from them being adults to being kids, so we'll go back in time. Adults, kids, and the whole story isn't told from beginning to end in that way. It's kind of like gone from the beginning to the middle, back to the beginning, to the end, to the middle, and then you have to sort of piece together how it all fits. But in that regard, that's the best way of storytelling for that kind of book and for that kind of story. It's well structured. And that leads me on to the next inspiration of mine, which is Quentin Tarantino, because he does exactly the same thing. He works with chapters. All of his films are split up into chapters. There'll be a black screen, there'll be text, chapter, whatever, and then the name of the chapter. Pulp Fiction, prime example, because the end scene to that film is also the beginning scene, but both of those scenes, so the first half of the scene is played at the beginning of the film and the last half of that scene is played at the end of that film, but story-wise, that scene is supposed to be set in the middle of the story.
Everybody be cool, this is a robbery!
Here's the situation. Normally, both your asses would be dead as fucking fried chicken, but you happen to pull this shit while I'm in a transitional period, and I don't want to kill you. I want to help you.
Pretty smart, huh?
That doesn't take place at either the beginning or the end. It takes place in the middle. But to display that scene in the way that he did makes a satisfying beginning and a satisfying end. It makes a satisfying beginning because it sets the tone of the film very well, and it makes a satisfying end to that film because you've seen characters who you've already seen die. He's alive in this scene now, so that indicates, yeah, okay, this obviously comes before his death, but you see him do something quite heroic and really good, and it just makes a satisfying end. Same with the rest of the film, it's all structured differently, and then it's up to the audience to determine how it all fits in, but the way that it's presented makes a lot of sense. In terms of the reasoning for why he's done it, you can tell the reason for why he's done it when you watch the film, but again, writing a film script like you would write a book with chapters out of place. And Tarantino has even said that he has always been a book reader, and that's how he writes his films. That's an inspiration for me as well, because that's what I would like to do, and I love that method. He's an inspiration to me. George Lucas was another one. He's somebody who took an idea that had never ever been done before and did it. He wasn't that independent. He had money. He'd made a couple of films before that, but he really innovated, and without him and without his films, cinema wouldn't be like it is today. We wouldn't have Star Wars. I don't think we'd have Indiana Jones. He co-wrote it, but Indiana Jones wouldn't be how we have it today without him. And the same goes with the rest of his films. Hate them or love them, you can't deny that it didn't change cinema, and that's just a huge inspiration for me, because if I could do anything near as good as what George Lucas was able to produce, that would be amazing for me. Lastly on the list, because I wanted to keep this video quite short, is Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott, again, for innovation and for the way he tells his stories. Thing is, he's not my favourite director, but he could have been. The only reason for that is his inconsistency, because he will release a masterpiece of a film, such as Gladiator or Alien, and then he'll release another film which isn't as recognisable, and it just is a bit, it's subpar to what we know he's capable of. Alien Covenant, I'm looking at that, or Prometheus. It's just, you know, comparing the original Alien to Alien Covenant, I think it was down to budget. Because I think the reasoning why back in the 70s with the original Alien is you hardly got to see the alien because it didn't look that good. Because it was the late 70s and they didn't have the biggest budget at the time. So they couldn't afford to show the alien too much because the audience will see how rubbish it looks. But that actually did the film a lot of favours because it lets the audience use their imagination. As soon as you start doing that, things always seem scarier in our imagination than what it does in real life. So you see an image in your head, you think there's an alien there. Is it there? Is it there? Is it up there? Where is it? Your imagination starts taking off. What if it jumps out of there? What if it goes here? What if it looks like this? What's it going to do to the person? Where is it? That's the main question. Where is it? Where's the alien? You know it's around, but you can't see it. Where is it? Is it going to get this person? Where is it going to get this person from? Alright, so that's another thing. Linking it back to the Stephen King thing, getting told that a character is going to die can be used together with Ridley Scott's method of not showing the alien. So, you're told that a character is going to die. It's quite clear that this character is going to die and you can hear the alien. Did it come from over there? Did it come from over there? But now you've got to use your imagination because we're not actually shown where the alien is until the last second, and it will only stay on screen for a few frames. So that creates a scary moment. And it's not just horror that could be used in, it could be used for anything. Horror's probably the best example for that, and I feel like a lot of horror filmmakers don't know this anymore because they love to show the creature. Alien Covenant, prime example. Even in the trailer, they have that whole thing where the alien's on top of that spacecraft banging his head against, you know, he's got the glass of the cockpit and he's banging his head against the cockpit to try and break it. That would be a scary situation to be in. Don't get me wrong, if you were that pilot, you know, I'd be shitting it, not knowing where the alien is. The scariest scene in Alien Covenant is the shower scene after two people in a shower get killed. The captain of the ship goes into the shower, finds the two bodies, and the alien's nowhere to be seen. The ship's up in the air right now. So you know the only place the alien could be is on the ship, but you don't know where it is. You've seen the dead bodies. The captain is like, oh my god, and you're not told where the alien is because he's not shown. And that's the only time that the alien is not shown, when he makes a kill. And so that to me is the scariest and the best part of Alien Covenant. But it's just that method. It's that lesson that I've learned from Ridley Scott, that it's way better to do that kind of a thing than the other. And so I'm taking that on board as inspiration for when I come to do anything like that. So there you go. Another inspiration for my work. And there you go. If you're watching this on YouTube, because this is going to be made public on YouTube as well as my account for uni, let me know who, if you're a filmmaker, or even if you're not, who are your favourite filmmakers, why? Because that would be really interesting to hear, because I'd love to read it, and maybe I can look into those people, or maybe consider those things that you tell me as to why you like that specific filmmaker. So yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye. Have a good day. Go on, do something productive.